Well, surprise, surprise. The Super Bowl is going to be between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. I have to give a lot of credit to the Chiefs for their defense. They played amazingly in this game. Josh Allen threw for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus another 39 yards on the ground. The Chiefs made some huge stops, especially on those fourth down tries. There were even multiple stops on those tush-push plays. The Chiefs did their homework and knew Allen loves to move to his left, so they really took advantage of that. I don't think Josh Allen will win MVP. Lamar probably will, but Allen should definitely be in the conversation. After losing his top 2 receivers in the offseason, he led the Bills to the AFC Championship. But there's a reason why the Bills can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. When big plays are needed, the Chiefs make them, and the Bills don't. Take that third down, for example. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo sent a corner blitz the first time he did that all game, and the Bills weren't ready for it. And they shouldn't have been. Spagnuolo is a genius. That's why he's been interviewed for head coach jobs, even though he didn't get one. It just shows how good he is. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, Spagnuolo will set a record for the most Super Bowls as an assistant coach. He's trying to add one more to his collection. This team has been on fire all season. In the regular season, the Chiefs went 15-2. The only reason they lost 2 games was because they rested their starters in Week 18 against the Broncos. This is a team that consistently goes deep into the playoffs. They have the toughest training camp in football. So, when will it be enough? No one has been able to stop them. The one player who has been a problem for the Chiefs is Tom Brady, but he's not even playing anymore. Outside of Brady, who beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship and then in the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, no one has really figured them out. Joe Burrow got a win against them a few years ago, but since then, Patrick Mahomes has just dominated the league. But it's not just Mahomes. Kareem Hunt has been huge in the playoffs, rushing for 17 carries and 64 yards. Xavier Worthy also had a great game, catching 6 passes for 85 yards and a touchdown, plus adding another 16 yards as a runner. The Chiefs moved up in the draft to get him. Funny enough, the Bills traded down with the Chiefs, just like they did for Mahomes. And this time, it was Worthy who showed up big against them. I also really liked what I saw from Juju Smith-Schuster, who had 2 catches for 60 yards. He had some explosive plays, including one on the first drive and another big catch later in the game. Hollywood Brown added 35 yards, but the big thing was man coverage. The Chiefs are so hard to defend that teams are basically forced to play man-to-man coverage, and that creates tough matchups. Even Travis Kelce, normally a star, only had 19 yards. I bet money on Travis Kelce and I lost. But honestly, you can't be too upset with him. He was drawing a lot of attention and did a great job blocking. As for Samaje Perine, he only had 17 yards in the game, but those were some of the most important 17 yards. He picked up the first down that kept the drive alive. If the Chiefs don't get that, they give the ball back to the Bills, and who knows what could have happened. But the Bills had so many chances. I know a lot of people will complain about the refs and the calls, especially since the Chiefs won. But the Bills really had no reason to lose this game. They had every opportunity to win, and once again, they just didn't make the plays when it mattered. Whether people like it or not, the Bills had their shot. They probably had a better roster on paper, but if that was true, they would have won. This was their best chance, mainly because they were playing the best football they've played with Josh Allen at quarterback. It seemed like they had figured out how to beat the Chiefs. They've beaten the Chiefs in the regular season before, but they still lose in the playoffs. It's tough to believe the Chiefs wouldn't make it back to the Super Bowl, especially after how dominant they were in the regular season. Even though the Chiefs didn't blow out teams all season, they were winning close games. And honestly, that actually worked in their favor for the playoffs. Playoff games are often close, usually decided by just one score. The Chiefs had been in those kinds of games all year, and now here they are, winning 32-29. Another thing to consider is the tough schedule the Chiefs had. When you win the Super Bowl, you get the hardest schedule, and the Chiefs handled it. The only loss they had was to the Bills, and honestly, I don't even count the Broncos game as a loss. If they had played their starters, They would have won that game for sure. Now, let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. He threw for 245 yards and a touchdown, completing 18 of 26 passes. That's amazing, because he only had to throw 26 times. The Chiefs' run game was also very strong, rushing for 135 yards. Mahomes made 2 mistakes in the game. The first one wasn't even really his fault. It was a mistake by the running back. The second mistake was more of a joke. When Mahomes tried to spike the ball after his rushing touchdown, it was one of the worst spikes I've ever seen. But despite that, Mahomes had 43 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. In the biggest moments, he always finds a way to get it done, and this game was no different. It was a great game, just what you'd expect when the Bills and Chiefs play. Seeing Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, probably the 2 best players in the NFL, facing off is always exciting. The game was definitely exciting, but in the end, it wasn't just about how well the players played. It was about the others around them, and of course, the Chiefs' defense was outstanding. Josh Allen had a solid game statistically. He threw for 239 yards with 2 touchdowns and no turnovers, though he did fumble 3 times, but luckily for him, he recovered each one. If you want to count the turnover on downs, that's fair, but honestly, it came down to the final moments. Who could step up in the last 6 minutes and 32 seconds? We saw Mahomes take a sack near the goal line, and for a second, I thought, oh no, the Bills might have a chance here. But even with that, the Bills still couldn't tie the game, let alone take the lead. So, honestly, the Chiefs just took control, and now I'm all in. I'm rooting for them 100% over the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles fans aren't exactly my favorite, to say the least. The Chiefs have been so dominant, and their success is unreal. Think about it. The only time Mahomes hasn't been in the Super Bowl was that one year against the Bengals when they lost in a nail-biter. Every other year, they've been at the top. The Chiefs are building one of the most impressive dynasties we've ever seen, similar to the Patriots with Tom Brady winning 6 Super Bowls. The Chiefs just keep getting better year after year. The Chiefs' offensive line had its struggles at one point, but they fixed that in the offseason, making key moves in both the draft and free agency. The defense was another issue, but they addressed that too with solid picks, including Chris Jones. Trent McDuffie really stood out in this game. As for Keon Coleman, he only had 1 catch for 12 yards. Compare that to Amari Cooper with just 33 yards and Khalil Shakir with 46 yards, most of which came in the first half. The one guy who caused trouble for the Chiefs, outside of Josh Allen, was Matt Collins. James Cook was also impressive on the ground, 13 carries for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked unstoppable at times. Allen, Hollins, and Cook were the main threats, but Shakir also made a few plays in the first half. On the flip side, guys like DJ Knox and Dawson Knox were mostly quiet, with just 2 catches for 13 yards and 1 catch for 7 yards, respectively. Overall, the Chiefs' defense was outstanding. And as for their offense, this isn't the same Chiefs offense from last season that was just good. This year's offense is efficient, smooth, and still dangerous. Sure, they did have a turnover, but over their last 10 games they hadn't made any mistakes. This game was incredible, and honestly, I'm not surprised at all that the Chiefs won. The Bills had their best shot, no doubt about it. Yes, they were on the road, but remember, they were at home against the Chiefs last season and still lost. I thought this might be their big chance, but the Chiefs proved why they're still the team to beat. I've seen a playoff matchup between these two teams where I honestly thought the Bills had the better roster. And, yeah, I probably sound crazy saying that now, especially since the Chiefs won. But at the time, I really believed the Bills were the stronger team, and they still lost. Now, when I look at Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I'm starting to wonder if either of them will ever be able to beat Mahomes when it counts. The one guy who has done it is Joe Burrow, but since that win, the Bengals haven't exactly done much. So, it's clear, the Chiefs are going to keep dominating the AFC, and they're not slowing down anytime soon. No one seems to be able to stop them. And as for that Xavier Worthy catch, it might have hit the ground, but honestly, that wasn't what decided this game. The The Chiefs won because they had a better game plan and executed it better, plain and simple. Josh Allen definitely deserves MVP, but at the end of the day, MVPs don't matter as much as winning Super Bowls. And Mahomes, he just keeps proving he can get it done. We'll talk about the Chiefs versus Eagles matchup soon, but for now, enjoy the win, and don't forget to subscribe to Daily Chiefs. I'm out.